So today, I have, yesterday I finished touching up the notes as I said I would. These, the 10 elements, the pro draft of the 10 elements. So I finished touching them up, and then, so they're ready to be reorganized, and some things deleted, some things combined, some things adjusted. So that's ready. Today I started touching up the meta notes, and the meta notes are kind of like notes about the notes, meta notes, a process describing the process, so that it's more fundamental. And one of the things that I paid attention to is that for it to be kind of like a self-propagating pattern, a self-propagating formula, it needs to have kind of like a fractal pattern type of thing. Fractals. Each element contains itself. Each little detail contains all of the details of the system. So each part of the system contains the whole system, kind of like that. So that so in this case it would be each element that I described in the list of elements would contain in itself all the elements described in it. So with element number 1, continuous awareness, it would need to have with element number 1, continuous renewal, it would need to have awareness. Continuous renewal, it would need to have itself. You would need to have awareness, enjoyment, pride. I haven't memorized these. Oh, you get the point. And then awareness would need to have in itself continuous renewal, itself, awareness, enjoyment, pride, grace, and so on. And something that this would do is something else that this would accomplish is that you can derive the system with itself, so that the practicality system is even practical for it to develop itself, for it to develop a practicality system. So the practicality system is even useful to develop a practicality system. Yes. So a bit of a mind twerk there, but that's what I mean when I say fractal pattern. It needs to be something that's self-sustainable. And I won't get into how logic itself doesn't prove itself. That'll be another topic for another day, but pay attention to that. You should look that up. The self-sustainability of logic. Here's the important breakthrough. Here's the important breakthrough that I made today. So, as I was looking through the meta notes, there's 2 pages of it. There's it's not as much as the 10 elements, because I guess I go less into detail. Then there's this other one. There's this tools notes. First of all, I discovered that this tools page, useful tools, is actually just procedures. Tools or procedures are tools to accomplish something. So these are just procedures. I was happy when I found that, because it just made things simpler. I'll add that to the section to each section of procedures on each element. As far as the meta notes, I was trying to find something here that would create a foundation, something that would give me a starting point to the whole thing, to everything. A definition, something. And I was specifically looking at this breakthrough that I made a few months ago, which it kind of gives you the starting point. It kind of gives you the starting point in order to begin to achieve a goal, in order to begin to focus on a goal. It says, and I'll read to you just so that you have a reference of what I'm talking about here, of what concept it is that I'm talking about. there's pre-step. The first step is to cognize the idea. And so, or the pre-step is to just recognize it. And so the way that you recognize it is first pay attention to your desire. And the desire is an indication, in its very potency, of its own fulfillment. So the desire itself is an indication of its own fulfillment. No matter what level you're in, there's always room for more. And in the human mind, that which is perceived as infinitely more. So, one thing to understand, freedom is ultimate. So once you have that pre-step of recognizing the desire, because first you need to recognize the desire. You can't do anything if you don't recognize the desire, if you don't have the desire. Desire is probably always there, but if you don't recognize it, there's nothing that you can do about it. So first, recognize the desire, and recognize it as an indication of its own fulfillment. Step 1, believe in the possibility of the fulfillment. Step 2, pay attention to everything that indicates its existence, the existence of the fulfillment. Step 3, collect phenomena. So collect, just like, kind of like take notes, keep in mind, engrave the phenomena, repeat, ingrain, solidify, and establish. Step 4, once you have discovered and established its form and plane of existence, and by it I mean the fulfillment. Once you have discovered and established the fulfillment's form and plane of existence, you can learn its properties to put it into use. So this is about recognizing the existence of the fulfillment. And then I continue. In the steps, be integral in your observation. So you're not pretending. This is not like positive affirmations where you just repeat something, whether it's true or not, whether you believe it or not. It doesn't work like that. You have to be integral in your observation, and it has to be an observation, not a pretending. And so then there's just that. So there's that. I have that in my notes. But I felt like throughout this whole thing, and I was just here's the process that I went through. I was looking at all of this, the meta notes, something that I consider meta notes, and some of them were actual meta notes, and others were just notes, descriptions of what I was doing, and I just recognized those, and depending on what I felt they were, if they were kind of like getting to the foundation, or if they were just description of a certain stage or of a certain stage or a certain phase, I would label it as such. And then those that I felt were getting more to a foundation, to a starting point, I labeled them as such. And those are the ones that I focused on. And then I tried to see, okay, each of these things that are getting at a foundation, what is in common? And there's an underlying concept that makes all of these, that connects all of these. And so I was just looking at them and looking at them and looking at them and trying to understand them. And I did this for a while until I realized and so here's the foundation. Here's the foundation thus far. Here's what I came up with. Practicality. The essence of practicality is pain management. And pain, or the essence of practicality is responding to something that indicates or requires fulfillment. That's in the essence of practicality. Pain management, and pain is something that requires fulfillment. Pain indicates something that requires fulfillment. Pain is something that indicates fulfillment, and it requires fulfillment. The essence of practicality is when something says is when something says that something needs to be accomplished. The essence of practicality is the attempt to reach a state of equilibrium, because there's the initial disequilibrium, the initial desire, the initial there's something wrong, and practicality is how do you go about satisfying, how do you go about achieving How do you go about accomplishing? How do you go about reaching equilibrium for that problem? How do you go about solving the problem? That's the essence of practicality. So, but there's something else. There's another foundation that I saw in the pattern. So there's that. There's that definition. The essence of practicality is pain management, is trying to get from point A, which is problem, to point B, which is solution. From point A, which is desire, to point B, which is fulfillment. And besides that, so there's the description, then there's the whole approach to the project. And you know, this is, I'm working backwards. I'm taking notes and I'm seeing a pattern within the notes that I take. So this is what it comes down to. This is the style. This is the approach that it comes down to. And it's this: the state of mind dictates the state of affairs, not the other way around. You know, and in just everyday culture, we think that the state of our affairs dictates our state of mind. Whatever happens in the state of affairs is like our situation, our life situation, and our state of mind is how we feel, what we think, what we believe. This is saying otherwise. As far as practicality, as far as achieving something, as far as achieving a goal, it is your state of mind that will dictate your state of affairs. Basically this. So the state of mind, as you are manipulating your state of mind, you're manifesting. That is an actual manifestation of your state of affairs. Because first thing is, you're taking control of your state of mind, and your state of mind is a state of affair, because that's your state of mind is a situation. So once you take control of that, you're even in that most fundamental way, in that most elemental way, you're changing your state of affairs by changing your state of mind, because your state of mind is a state of affair. And basically, the most fundamental assumption about practicality is this: free will. You have control. You have the power to change your state of affairs. Through what? Through you. Through your state of mind. And who are you? If you want to resonate with Descartes, I think, therefore I am. Your thought, your state of mind dictates your state of affairs. Once you take control of your mind, you can take control of your state of affairs. Take control, self-control, and use yourself. Once you have self-control, you use yourself to control your state of affairs, your situation. Basically, what it comes down to, the elemental assumption is your mind dictates your world. You have power over your mind, you have power over yourself, you have power over what you do, and by having power over what you do will influence your world. You have power over your world. And that is the essence of practicality. If you want to achieve something in the world, you have to first take control, and taking control is a mental effort. Taking control is a mental maneuver, and once you take control, you can control your world. And I think that pretty much feels complete. I think that will be the foundation for the practicality project. Taking control of your mind, self-control. That's where it starts off.